Chapter 6 of the Godzilla creepypastas. 2 more chapters to go. Can you believe that? Anyway, in the brief instant before the translation between Entropy and Excess, I was hoping that I would get Godzilla and answers back as the board appeared. I saw that my wish was half granted. I had Godzilla back, but no Angus. I would have perfect both. But despite Angus' neat abilities, I would have chosen Godzilla if I had picked between the two. Angus had 2 different colored temples, white and pink. A pyramid would look like some modern buildings and 2 other icons I couldn't figure out at the time. The new bosses were Kungu, Busu, and not Gudu. Whom I dreaded to see, let alone fight. With Godzilla back, I was excited again and eager to explore, yet still cautious. I went to the quiz level first. Just before this time, Face's quiz was more random than ever. Do elephants breathe? Yes. Have you ever been modeled by a family member? No. Have you ever killed anyone? No. Is green your favorite color? No. Is the computer a pina colada of modern technology? Yes. Are you a tough guy? Yes. Can you fly? No. Can you stand on your head? Yes. Do you hate raccoons? No. Do you feel blame? No. Would you like a new monster? Yes. Will you miss me? Yes. I was happy that I was getting a new monster, but the last question bothered me. Will you miss me?
Well, you should just...
His face refusing to when I finished the game. I thought since the revolution of the game's truly overworthy nature, I wasn't sure what to think of the face or anything else in the game, but something about that last statement gave me a gene feel, a feeling of sadness from the face. As I was thinking about the game, the game had gone back to the board. I had a new monster, but I had no idea who it was supposed to be. The sprite had a slight resemblance of Rodin, but the head was totally off. I moved the mysterious newcomer to a white temple icon and started the level. When I started the level, the screen appeared with the text, "Find the gem," primarily instructions for beating the level. After that, I got my first look at my new playable monster, a hairy dark blue creature with bat wings and a skull-like face named Solo. And I also found that my path was blocked by a beam of light and a smaller pillar with a plate on it. I figured that this beam of light was blocking the exit, so I have to find the gem and drop it on the plate palette to detect the beam. How exactly I was going to do that, I didn't know. There wasn't anything in the original game requiring you to find an item to beat the level. I'd have to find out when I obtained the gem. The only direction I had to go was left, so that on I proceeded. Solom was an interesting monster, to say the least. He was capable of both fighting and a heat beam, both of which proved to be very useful. He also could kick and slash with his wings, but he couldn't duck. The White Temple's music was a vacuum tour or a video game of such. It's hard to describe, but very holy sound. It wasn't long before I started running into waves of strange new enemies. They did little just to stop me. I ran past them while slashing and didn't take any damage. There was a pause between each wave of enemies. After you had killed about 10, there wouldn't be any for about a minute. Then the next wave would appear. After 5 minutes, I noticed holes in the floor and ceiling. Good monsters creatures were rapidly flying up and down these crevices. So I had to time my jumps carefully because I didn't know if I'd get another shot at this. Luckily, I managed to get through without a scratch. I'm just lucky, I guess. After that, I found myself at the end of the hallway facing some kind of mini-boss monster. It moved fast and had some kind of projectile that shot in 4 directions, but I killed it quite easily using Soul Man's heat beam. When the battle was over, I had my gem, which was inside the creature's head. I found that I could pick up hold the gem by walking over to it and holding down B. I made the long trek back to the start to deposit the gem on the plate on the pallet, which deserved the beam. I left the stage, and what was shown was probably the strangest quick wrestling to the Soul Man's monster. Every time you complete a stage or defeat a boss with Soul Man, this screen appears. I have no idea what Still the Beast in 1973 means, and neither the date nor the phrase has any meaning or significance to me that I can think of. And I spent a lot of time thinking about it. The next level I played was one called Bronze and Pyramids. I used Godzilla and found had been leveled up to 12 since I last played as him in German. The Bronze Pyramids were fairly normal as far as levels go, but the visuals were quite interesting, almost unusually colorful and lively. The music had a fitting Egyptian style to it. It was slow and musical sounding. I strolled through the level, fighting off the various enemies. None were too difficult, although the ants could be a pain if you ran into too many at once. My favorite enemy was the giant reptile I encountered halfway through. At the end of the level, I came to a giant pyramid and engaged in yet another mini-boss fight. Although this one was a bit different because I had to fight 2 of these monsters at the same time. Individually, I could have dealt with them easily, but fighting both of them at once was challenging. But I sped things up by tricking one of the twin beasts into barbecuing his brother by jumping when he uses his flame breath. After defeating the twin monsters, I noticed something strange after returning to the board. I was now able to move my monster piece anywhere on the board without limits. Normally, Godzilla could only move 3 spaces each turn, and Martha could move 5. I wanted to try out Soul Man some more, so I moved his piece over to one of the brown pillar-looking icons with colored dots and started the level. When I got to the level, I realized that what level icon represented totem poles. I was greeted by 2 of them right at the beginning. The music had a Native American sound to it. I seemed to be using the same instruments as the intro before. It was notably different, but just as foreboding. I walked around for 3 minutes with nothing else in sight besides the totem poles. I didn't realize it until then, but I wasn't expecting another level with nothing alive in it. After all the activity in intro, walking by all those monstrous faces, this unrevealing level left me feeling like I was being watched. Only about 10 minutes after I started the exercise, I was already halfway through. After getting back from the totem pole level, I tried out one of the TV screens to see how strange they were this time. Even more strange than before, apparently the music for this was unrestrained. I switched back to Godzilla to play another level, and this level was quite a surprise. It was a normal city level. The colors were gloomy, but even still, this was quite a shock. This was the kind of level I would expect to see in a Godzilla game. And I was kind of mad that I didn't get to play it earlier. The music was the Earth theme. I found it strange that a level fitting a Godzilla name would show up this late, but there's no point crying over spilt milk, I suppose. I moved Solomon over to a grayish-green icon, which turned out to be a giant high-tech laboratory of some sort. Lots of mega drones in this level, but Solomon cleared through them, just like the White Temple enemies. The music was a grinny instrumental beat. There was also a strange flying cyborg enemy, which was annoying because it would fly away when you jumped to attack it. Also of interest were the large tanks holding some kind of monster inside. As you would guess, sometimes the monsters awaken and shatter through the glass. I tried to get past the stairs tanks as fast as possible because the monsters inside proved to be vicious, a vicious little stupid. At the end of the level was an elevator, which I used to go down to the bottom of the level where the exit was. Along the way, I was shot by security drones. I couldn't leave the elevator, so my only defense was the heat beam. The last level type was this simple thing that I call Hot Temple for obvious reasons.